The next open slot would be the first part of 2025.
Why doesn't Newell Coach use a lithium battery system? Rod Saunders asks, why a Newell over a Prevost?
We just think we have a package that suits a motor coach better.
We found James Nethery, VP of Engineering.
How you doing, Andrew?
Excellent, thank you. So the viewers came up with some really tough questions. I figure you're the guy to answer them. Now, what is your position here at Newell Coach?
So I'm Vice President of Engineering here at Newell Coach.
So you're responsible for helping build these?
Helping to build it, oversee the design team and the engineering team and everything that happens in this coach.
Yes, sir. Now, this is a beautiful coach. What is the story with this particular coach?
So this is a coach we just recently delivered, 1773. Beautiful coach. Shows some of the different style designs and finishes that we're able to do. You know, a lot of what you've seen has been a little more contemporary, square edges. Just shows a different side of Newell. It's beautiful. Before
we show the coach around, why don't we take a seat? And I've got some tough questions for you. Are you up for it?
Sure, have a seat.
One of the most popular questions I saw, why doesn't Newell Coach use a lithium battery system?
So we do. We have a lithium package that we offer. We weren't the first to that technology. We kind of wanted to wait till that market got proven out. We tested a couple of systems early when lithium was starting to hit the motorhome market, and some of those systems just weren't quite ready yet, so we decided to pause and wait. We do have a package that we can install now. It replaces the 8D batteries directly, so we could even go back and retrofit older Newells if a customer wanted to do that. So we're excited about that package.
And do you know roughly what the cost is of that package?
So it's about a $20,000 option.
Which is understandable. The lithium technology definitely is a little bit pricey. Correct. Now, is that just the batteries, or is there more hardware to support those batteries? Or
the nice thing about the system we've selected, and it's a battery package by a Battle-Born common company kind of out in this marketplace. They've done a good job of putting a package together that's self-sustained. We do have a digital shunt that measures amperage into and out of the battery packs. It shows state of charge. We've changed our AGS so that it's starting and stopping based on state of charge instead of volts, which is different, lead acid to lithium. All that's in place and it's working really well.
Awesome. Now, how many coaches have the new lithium package on it?
So this coach is the second to deliver, and we've got about 4 more on the line, so it's coming.
Oh, very exciting.
Yeah, there have been a couple of retrofits in service as well. That's already kind of started as customers want to add that package to their existing Newell.
And someone did ask why that isn't standard. Is there a reason for that?
So we do our pricing models a little bit different than our competitors. If you looked at coaches that are priced below us, there's usually an A, B, or C type package. If you look at coaches that are more expensive, typically they have a higher price with more included items. I like to be aware of how customers spend their money. You know, just because someone has a lot of money doesn't mean they spend it freely. You got to look at the cost versus benefit, right? So if there's an option on the list that is of a higher benefit to a customer, then they can choose it, and if they choose not to do that, they can. So in the case of the lithium batteries, while it is a great technology, new technology, everybody's excited about it, it don't necessarily work for everybody's application. For the customers that are pole to pole, or they're in a resort for a long period of time, there isn't as much benefit in the lithium as for someone who is boondocking or they're at a racetrack or equestrian. That's really where that package shines for them, because they get the extended run times. So we've just left it at the customer's discretion as to whether they want to spend the extra money on that or maybe another option that they would prefer to have.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys have more of an a la carte kind of outlook at that.
That's correct.
One of my favorite questions, I love it when people ask, is can Newell Coach build a 40-foot coach?
We can. We don't build very many. Probably in the last 20 years, we've maybe built a half a dozen that are shorter than 45, but we can build from 39 feet to 45 feet. And we've got floor plans for each of those increments. The challenging question becomes, you know, when you're going from 45 down, is what do you want to give up, right? Because only so much fits in the package, and so the customer, you know, kind of really has to dig into what's important to them to move the puzzle pieces around.
Yes, sir. Now, is there a cost difference sense, would it get less expensive if someone wanted a 39-foot non-slide coach? Or
probably not as much as someone would expect, and a lot of that is, while there is a reduction in materials, you've got the same overhead. It moves through the line the same number of hours, the same manpower, so that's a little bit of a fixed cost. So there isn't as much as someone might expect.
Okay. Would Newell ever consider doing a fifth wheel if money was no object?
You know, I think there's probably a market out there for it, a high-end custom fifth wheel. You know, we're going to kind of stick where our strengths are, and the high-end motor coach industry is kind of where we're at, so that's where we'll stay for a while.
It was worth a shot.
It was.
Yeah. So can a coach have both theater seats and a pull-out couch?
To a certain extent, yes. So there is a version of our pull-out sofa, our sofa sleeper with the air mattress, and that can have footrests. It doesn't have the reclining feature of a theater, but it does have the footrest, so a little bit in between.
What does Newell use for owners to connect to the internet?
So that's a little bit all over the board, and it's a little bit the needs of the customer. Most of the time we have our router is internet ready, and we can connect a customer hotspot to that. Starlink's getting really popular, so we've been connecting more of those devices both on the service side, and we're starting to install them in production as well. This coach has Starlink installed. So there's a lot of options there, and we kind of leave it at the customer's discretion because sometimes it's based on where they're located, right? Verizon may be better for them, AT&T may be better for them. So we kind of let them pick the hotspot that works for them. We connect it to the coach, and they're off and running.
Okay, have you gotten any feedback on Starlink?
Everybody that's used it was really satisfied with it. I'm curious as to see if that will change as more people get on that network. It's still, pretty light duty right now, so there's a lot of speed, but it'll be interesting to see how that develops.
Yes, sir. Someone asked, what years are the best to shop for a used Newell coach, and then where's the best place to buy a used Newell coach?
Well, that's a bit of a loaded question because it kind of depends on the customer's price point, right? Obviously, the older model year-wise, the lower the cost is going to be, and we've got coaches back. There's still some coaches from the 60s on the road, coaches from the 70s on the road, and those retro coaches are awesome, to see and be in and around. They're still solid as long as they've been maintained and kept up. So it's hard to say, is there a sweet spot? It probably depends on what the customer's looking for. Slides started in the late 90s. Started with a single slide as we slowly developed. It's kind of why we number our slides 1 through 4. This was the first one. The bedroom was the second one. The other side of the bedroom was the third one, and the other salon was the fourth one. That's why they're numbered that way. But as you kind of go up in a newer model year, you'll see more slides up through the 90s, early 2000s. The air door started in 2003. The steering tag axle started in 2004, along with the ZF suspension. Yeah, it really depends on what the customer's looking for. Obviously, we feel like the best place to buy it is here at Newell. However, we only keep about 10 years in model years in inventory. Older than that sometimes can get a little bit tricky in financing and that sort of thing, so we keep that 10-year model years in inventory, and we'll put a 2-year warranty back 8 years from the current model year. That's 2-year 24,000-mile warranty, which it can be a pretty big deal on a coach like this, and that's important to a customer, and we want to support them.
Yeah, definitely a lot of value to that. Now, the structure and the shell, the aluminum sidewalls, you were mentioning there's coaches from the 60s and 70s still on the road. Has the structure changed over the years?
Not a whole lot. So we're one of the last manufacturers that still do a steel chassis, aluminum body. Most of our competitors priced less are fiberglass sides, fiberglass structure on the outside. We are all aluminum skin up through the caps. Most of your decorative pieces, your front cap, your rear cap, those are going to be fiberglass. Everything in between is aluminum. Very robust, going to last a lot of years, a lot of miles. You can count on that.
Yeah, and if we walk through the Newell Coach Service Department, we'll see coaches, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. Yeah. So definitely a testament for the structure of Newell Coach build. Someone asked, what is the justification of having a gray-black combined holding tank?
So it's similar to a septic tank in a home. Some homes that aren't connected to public utility, they'll have a septic tank. Similar to that. So all of your solids are diluted by the other liquids in that tank. It rinses cleaner. It flows easier on the discharge. We can add a gray water bypass if a customer is looking for a little more longevity on that tank, and that goes to a separate manifold for your gray water other appliances, and that could be drained to another offsite drain if you need a little bit more. Some of our boondockers and things will use that option. It allows more capacity because you're not constrained by the two tanks kind of taking up space on their own. So we've got 143 gallons of a waste tank, all one, and it's worked very well over the years.
Yeah, that makes sense. Someone mentioned here that the driver's seats, the captain's chairs in a Newell coach are much more comfortable than any other motorhome they've been in. Yep. Can you share what the spec is of these seats and why are they so comfortable?
So that's a seat that's used both in the heavy-duty truck as a luxury seat. We picked it up because of its air ride and also because it swivels. And so that's one of the few seats that are available that do both of those tasks, both air ride and the swivel. And that was important to us because that chair becomes a part of the living space, when you're set up and parked. And then when you're driving down the road, it's nice air ride seat. It's comfortable. It's got massage and heat and cool. It's got all the features. It's a great seat.
Someone just says they saw a coach with a walk-in pantry. Is it possible for Newell Coach to build a coach like that?
Sure. One of the things that's unique about us is the level of customization that we can do upstairs in the house portion. Because we can place the slides where we want, we've got flexibility on pretty much anything we want to. If they wanted a walk-in pantry as opposed to a half bath or other storage, we've done what we call center walk-in closets. Basically what would have been the half bath space is we'll pre-plumb in the floor, so if a future customer wanted to convert it to a half bath, they could. Otherwise it could be a walk-in closet, it could be a walk-in pantry, multi-purpose there.
Have you ever done a custom hidden litter box for a customer?
We have.
You have?
We have. So what we did in that application, and this was kind of specific to them, they didn't want a washer dryer. I had talked them into kind of pre-building the space so it could have a washer and dryer in the future. Same where we think about resale when customers want these special things. How do we plan ahead so we don't hurt his resale value? So in his instance, in mid-coach, we had a cabinet that was large enough for a future washer dryer. The upper part of that was pantry, and the lower part of that was a place for the cats to go in and use a litter box, and they had some toys in there, and it was a little place for them.
If someone can think of it and it's possible,
we'll give it a shot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, and I got to tip my hat to you and the engineering team for the mid-entry bath and a half bunk coach. The utilization of space was just incredible in that coach.
So that was a challenge. And that we like those when customers come in and they'll present something, and if we can pull it off, we'll do it.
Well, yeah, and I'm impressed every time I make a trip up here to Miami. What are some of your favorite safety features of a Newell coach?
Obviously, safety is a number one priority. We've got all the, seatbelt locations where they're supposed to be. We've got fire extinguishers located front and back inside the coach, and we've got them stationed outside the coach. There's a fire suppression system in the generator bay, automatic system. Safety is very important. We've got smoke detectors located front and back, as well as CO2 detectors. It's very important.
And you mentioned seatbelts. Someone asked, how many seatbelts are you able to put in a Newell coach, and how many passengers can travel in a Newell coach safely?
So the regulation is you have to have a seatbelt for each sleeping berth. So it's a little bit dependent on if there's a bed with the bunks, right? Then you got to have more seatbelt locations. This coach has a sleeping berth for 2 people. So really 2 seatbelts was all that was required, but we do have seatbelts at the dinette as well. So you could have 4 seat-belted locations in this vehicle.
Nice. And then if someone wanted to add more, is there a limit at how many seatbelts you could add into a coach?
No, just as long as you've got chairs. For instance, you can't do a seatbelt in these recliners because they're not affixed to the chassis. But if this was a sofa, then that would have seatbelts in it as well.
Okay, it just has to be affixed to the chassis.
Correct.
Okay. What's some of the latest technology that Newell Coach has introduced in, and is there anything in the future that we can look forward to seeing soon?
360 cameras, our new dash, of course that's been out a couple of years now. We really spent a lot of time on ergonomics at the dash, the CCI with the infotainment, navigation integration. Of course our Spider controls, the new N1 system with the touch panels instead of the red and blue buttons on the walls. That was the latest thing we've done. Collision avoidance, we still have that as an option. There are some customers that don't like that system, so we still do a traditional cruise or a collision avoidance system. So there's a lot of things things out there, some stuff I can't talk about yet.
Okay, yes, sir. Yeah. Now, Jimmy Jones asked, are there any plans for expansions to up the coach per year count?
So we recently did. We were at 24 coaches, and we've just bumped up to 26 coaches based on the demand we've got. We've still got a pretty good backlog. There is a little bit of an anticipation there might be a recession, so we're going to keep a close eye on, make sure that our production rate matches the coach orders that are coming in, but we did just recently ramp up.
Okay, and what is the current backlog? If someone writes a check for a custom coach today, when will they see it?
The next open slot would be the first part of 2025.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any plans on doing an autonomous driving Newell coach anytime soon?
Man, I would love to see that. I don't know if we can talk about names, but I got a Tesla, so I'm used to their driving package, and it's awesome. That would be incredible. I don't think it's quite there yet for the heavy-duty market. It's coming. A lot of the pieces of that puzzle are already integrated. Our steering system, we have the Easy Steer system that has a electrical steering column that assists the driver. That's a piece of the puzzle. The stability control, the traction control systems that are in place are already pieces of that puzzle that are going in. So when the software is ready, it'll basically be connecting those devices through the network, and the software will drive it, but we're really close if they can get the software there.
I'm looking forward to that video. That's going to be a fun video. I hope we can come visit the factory for that one.
Yep.
Is it possible to make a fuel bay that you can access without opening the bay door?
We have done one, and I'm working on a better solution. The one we did I wasn't excited about. It worked. It was a little bit cumbersome. We've got a plan for that we're working on.
All right, look forward to seeing.
Yeah.
I know you're always thinking ahead. Rod Saunders asks, why is their chassis better than a Prevost? Why a Newell over a Prevost?
Well, again, it kind of goes back to what the customer is looking for. We feel better about our product because it is built from the ground up to be a motor coach. Everything about this vehicle is designed to be a motor coach, a motorhome on wheels. The slides, the placement, the structure allows us the flexibility that the converters don't have because they're kind of constrained to that shell that they get, right? Nothing wrong with the Prevost shell. It's a great vehicle for its purpose. With our chassis structure down low, that gives us the ability I can move this slide forward, back. I can put 1, 2, 3, or 4, however many slides. We can do flat floors in all 4 locations where they cannot. As far as the longevity of the vehicle, we've got coaches out there that have had 2 million miles or more on them in the entertainment industry. They'll go that. It's the same drivetrain, a heavy-duty vehicle drivetrain. It's got all the pieces of the puzzle. There's no stepping down by going to a Newell for sure, and we think you're actually stepping up in what you can get in customization and things that fit your need. So by doing this chassis on our own, building it from the ground up, that allows us to do a mid-entry, a front entry. It just gives us a lot more options in how we build these vehicles.
You're both definitely totally different vehicles.
Right. Prevost builds an exceptional vehicle. The converters in the marketplace, they're all good at what they do, right? And each one of them is a little bit different in their styles, their designs, how they outfit those vehicles. So we don't really go out to bash their product because they all do a great job. We just think we have a package that suits a motor coach better. We've got more interior volume, we've got more customization ability, and we can just really suit what a customer wants. When we start with a customer, one of the first questions we ask is how do you intend to use this? Are you going to be sitting at a resort for a period of time? Do you travel from resort to resort? Are you an equestrian? Are you in racing? Are you boondocking? How do you use it? And we take that information and develop a vehicle that's very suited to their specific needs.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I have to add to that, I was talking to someone earlier today. There's only really 6 companies that I know of in the world that build a motor coach that's $2 million or more. So,
correct.
Just to put this level of product together and the engineering and the people like yourself that do this, I have a lot of respect for you. And anyone could try to, poke holes on each other. But at the end of the day, there's only 6 people in the world doing what you're doing. So I really tip my hat to everybody in the Prevost industry and Newell coach as well, and they all have their advantages.
That's right. There's advantages and disadvantages to both, but we just feel like we've got the better package for a motorhome.
Someone asked if we're ever able to see more European spec'd coaches or international coaches?
Well, potentially. Occasionally we will do those, and not necessarily that they were planned that way. Just when that customer pops up and they have a need, we're in a unique position to build, again, a vehicle that fits their specific needs. Yeah, we've got several in Europe and a couple in the Middle East.
And I don't think we always advertise where the coaches are going out of respect for the new owners. You know, we don't need to publicize that. But I think we may have seen coaches that may be all over the world. We don't know.
They're out there for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Would it be possible to do a mid-entry with 2 full baths and bunks?
Anything is possible. It's how do you move the puzzle pieces, right? So what you got to think about is that middle door introduces that space about 36 inches or so out of the middle. Now we got to put our full middle bath and our full bunk. So that's either going to mean shorter slides in the front or shorter slides in the back. So it's just how we arrange those puzzle pieces and what someone is willing to give up. Again, cost benefit, right? For the benefit that they want, or is it worth the cost of giving up certain items?
I'm going to throw a curveball at you here.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to do a triple slide Newell coach with a entry door that's almost a front mid-entry hybrid in the middle front of the coach?
So you just described the late 90s Newell. Those were done back in the day. We used to, middle entries used to be the thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Before the Class A market really took to the front entry, they were all mid-entry. So you did see that. You did see the two slide and 3 slide Newells, and sometimes that entry door was kind of behind the co-pilot chair a little bit further forward in the chassis. So
you've done it. They're out there.
Yeah, they're out there.
You don't anticipate anyone doing that on a new 2023 Newell? That's
anything is possible. We don't build a whole lot of coaches with fewer than 4 slides. Everybody wants the biggest and most they can get. But we have done, I would say, in the last 15 years, there's been a 2 slide Newell, there's been a 3 slide Newell, and there's been a no slide Newell. We've built one coach recently for an international client that was a no slide Newell.
Yes, sir. Does Newell ever use slide toppers?
We do not. From the very beginning for Newell, we worked with HWH to develop the flat floor slide, the slide mechanism we used, and we eventually moved to Valid for the electric slide, the slides that you see today. The top actually has a crown to it. If you were to stand back and look, it's not completely flat on the top. It has a crown, so we do get watershed. There's also a rubber wiper on top of that to kind of push any debris off as the slide closes, so we don't have as big a need for the slide toppers. Because we also don't have the overlap type of compression seal, we use the pneumatic seal. You don't have the problem of things getting kind of bound up in that, so we don't have to have that topper.
Oh, very interesting. How does Newell Coach manufacture their roofs?
So, and we've kind of looked at that when we did a plant tour, but it's very much the same way the wall construction is. If you maybe go back and review that video we did when...
One of my favorite videos I've ever done, where James took us around the Newell Coach factory. It was one of the first videos I did here at Newell, and James really explained the build process in depth. If you haven't already seen that video, definitely worth checking out. But
just to kind of describe it, it's a lot like building a home. So once the chassis, the lower chassis is constructed and it moves into what we call the skin line, where the body is constructed, the aluminum bows kind of go up like studs in a house. Same way for the roof trusses. Those are aluminum truss structures that we build in our skin line. Place up there, they're set on top of those wall studs. So you have a structure all the way across the top of the coach that's all tied together. And then the skin is attached to that on the top and the sides. For the roof skin, that is one sheet front to back. We minimize as much as the seams as possible. This becomes the roof of the coach. This will be a single sheet from front to back of the coach. So there are your protrusions for your air conditioners, vents, and that kind of thing, but it is one sheet of aluminum all the way across.
It probably prevents leaks, I'm sure, by not having all those
as
holes
much as we possibly can. There, you do have your seams on the sides where those are what we call the awning bases. That's basically the curves that go across each top of the roof. Those are sealed, of course, and then down to the skin on the sides, but it's all tied together.
Jeffrey Boyce asked, Newell does not have hydraulic leveling jacks. What is the reason for that, and could they be added if someone wanted that?
So these coaches are pretty heavy. You're looking at about 59,000 pounds. If you were to run jacks down on an asphalt surface, you'd probably push them through. You're in really bad shape.
Everywhere you go, people would be upset at you.
So all of our leveling is done on the suspension system. The airbags that are currently on the suspension is controlled by the leveling system. It levels it out nice. The coaches are nice and solid. They really don't move around, so we've never went the hydraulic route.
Brantley 27 asked, I know Newells are super expensive, but what if someone does not care about marble floors or heated floors or granite countertops? Would you build a lower end coach?
Well, kind of back to our discussion about our pricing structure, right? So it is a la carte. So if you don't want particular finishes or features, you don't have to take them, and so you're kind of in control of your own destiny. That doesn't mean it's going to be, $1 million. It's still a very expensive unit just because of the construction, the materials, and the quality that goes into the vehicle itself, but you do have control of what you spend on countertops, flooring, your wall systems, leather. You're in control of all that.
Kind of an a la carte deal. Sure. What do you think the least expensive Newell coach? I mean, that's hard to say. So
you're kind of in control of your own destiny. Base price is going to be under $2 million, and then as you add on room slides and the appointments that you want, it just adds from there.
What about adaptive cruise control? Is that anything we're going to see in the near future?
So we have adaptive cruise. We have an collision avoidance system, and that is not standard. Again, it's a la carte. I have it's probably 50-50 of the customers that, even though they have it on their car, they're kind of used to it. When you start driving a heavy-duty vehicle like this, and the way traffic kind of bobs and weaves in front of you, that can kind of be a nuisance when they slow you down. We do still have a traditional cruise control, and we do have an adaptive cruise available.
James, I know we've gone way over our time allotment here. There's a lot more questions, and appreciate all of you ask those questions, but do you think you could show us around this 2023 real quick before you call it a day?
For sure.
Sounds good.
Let's take a look.
Now, coming up to the cockpit area, the first thing I noticed on this coach, even when it was driving by us, was the large diamond stitching on the dash. Really cool, but what else going on in the cockpit area here?
For sure, yeah, and there are a lot of different stitching treatments that we can do to those dash pads. We can change the finish of the dash itself, some of the wood trim pieces. The carbon fiber's been really popular. Of course, we got our CCI that controls all your radio functions, your phone functions. You can do leveling there. We intentionally did the large buttons, so when you're driving, it's easy to see, it's easy to figure out where you want to go. We have an iPad here that's got all of our coach functions.
Yeah, so real warm colors. I love the style. Those chairs that I was getting really comfortable.
These are comfortable, aren't they?
That's why we were sitting for about an hour chatting in those chairs.
Yeah, for sure. They're super comfortable. I love the countertops in this. They're just a beautiful grain running through them. Sill granite sink by Blanco. Induction cooktop, that's a 3-burner cooktop.
This is something that I really like that you guys do. A lot of the times the slide covers would be a little bit lower, but this countertop is flush across there. Something you started doing recently, huh?
That was a customer request. This used to be kind of how they all were. The only issue with this is when the slide comes in, it gets a little tight right here. So we had introduced the same collapsible bearing covers that we do in the other areas here. This customer chose to go ahead and have this nice flowing countertop, which looks great.
Absolutely, with a metallic flake in the countertop.
Lots of pantry storage above and below. We got our washer dryer cabinet here midship. Half bath, beautiful half bath. Again, those countertops that we see, the tile work in here is really nice. This customer chose carpet in the bedroom. I don't do carpet a lot anymore, but I love it in the bedroom because it's nice and warm, feels good on your feet. Tile in the rear bath. Dual sink. So a lot of folks ask us about the dual sinks in the bathroom. Why Newell doesn't do those? Well, we do.
Beautiful, huge rear bath. And I want to walk back here. Now, is this heated tile floors in the bathroom as well?
All of your tile front and back is heated.
And I guess these aren't, is this tile or what type of?
It is a wood look tile. Yeah, it's a porcelain product that has the characteristics of wood that makes it a warm look but still durable.
It has a really nice texture in it, just a a beautiful spec coach.
Yeah.
This is already purchased. This was a custom coach owned by someone else. So this coach is not available. It's already owned, and we're just lucky enough to get a chance to see it.
Correct. We just thought it showed another side to our design and interiors, and this is a beautiful coach.
Well, Newell coach knocked it out of the park again. I really appreciate you taking the time to share all of that information with us. Now, if someone's a serious buyer and they either want to custom order a Newell coach or purchase one of the pre-owned Newell coaches, who can they get a hold of?
Any one of our sales guys. The best place to do that would be go to newellcoach.com.
Awesome, James. I really appreciate you, sir, and the team at Newell Coach.
Thank you, and thank all of you for coming back and seeing us.
Yep, greatly appreciate all of you that are subscribing to the channel, and we hope you're all having a great day. Thanks again.
The next open slot would be the first part of 2025.
Why doesn't Newell Coach use a lithium battery system? Rod Saunders asked, why a Newell over a Prevost?
We just think we have a package that suits a motor coach better.